So I decided to choose Pac-Man because I literally grew up on this game, and my mom introduced us to this game when we were really little, and she grew up on it. She played it in arcades and things like that. So she obviously played the OG Pac-Man, but we played on a little game controller that connected to the TV. So when I was looking through the App Store and found that Pac-Man was an app, I was really curious to see if it would be the same, if it would be different, because I know, like, I'm obsessed with Mario and stuff like that, and the apps are just not the same. So I was really curious to see if this Pac-Man would be the same, how the controller would work, and if the levels would be more the same, like it was when I was growing up. So yeah, you'll see throughout this video that there's some things that I like about it, some things I don't. So just continue to watch. So when I talk about this game, I want to talk about it in its actual form as well as the App Store form of this game, because obviously it's not the same as the original Pac-Man. I actually find it more difficult to play it on an iPad than I would in an arcade or on a console hooked up to a TV or on the computer, things like that. You actually have to use your finger on the screen to move Pac-Man around. So I feel like it's a little bit harder in that aspect. But one of the elements I really enjoy about this game and most games that I do play is the fact that, you know, this game doesn't take a lot of skill to do. Obviously, you get better as you go along, but it's more of another mindless game, which I do enjoy. I just tend to not gravitate towards, you know, the more violent games or gun games, tactical games, things like that. I just kind of like something that is a de-stressor. You can come home and play, and you know, you're not too stressed out. You're not wanting to throw your controller or whatever across the room. But I do get a little angry at this game because I want to do good at it, and there's obviously a ton of levels you have to get through. But I think when the game maker was making this, it came out in 1980s, and I think around that time a lot of violent games were becoming a thing. And so I even read a document about you know, him saying that this was just a great alternative to violent games that were coming out and that were very popular. And it just goes to show that this game is a classic and has done very well for years. And I don't think there's anything you could do to change this game to make it better. So the man that invented this game, his name is Toru Iwatani, and he's from Japan. So this game actually originated out of Japan, and then later was distributed in the United States. And so I've read up on, you know, this guy and kind of his aspect of the game and why he did it in this way. You know, while I was talking about how this game is compared to violent games and how those were coming out and were real popular around this time in the 1980s. But most popular arcade games were primarily like targeted towards young boys and teenagers. Like Space Invaders, Asteroids, things like that were out during that time. And so I think Iwatani wanted to appeal to a far wider demographic than just young boys. And as you can see, you know, throughout generations, this game is loved by, you know, every game player. I'm not saying everybody enjoys it like the next, but it's definitely gained its respects and you know, popularity throughout the years. And so I think it's really important that you can create a game that appeals to everybody and not just one sort of audience. So like I was saying before in the video, this game brings me back to my childhood, like fully back into my childhood, except for the fact that it is on an iPad and it's a little different. I feel like it is harder to do on the iPad just because if you can see how I'm controlling it at the bottom, you're swiping instead of having a joystick, so it is a little harder to control. But I do get like a lot of feelings of anger in this game because it's just frustrating when there's 256 levels and I can't get past level 8 because you do go a little faster, or the ghosts go a little faster during each round, and it gets a little bit more challenging. So I do get a little angry with this one, I will say, but in the end I really do just enjoy playing it. So when going into this game journal, I kind of went back to LeBlanc's taxonomy, as in part of our last module, and I was kind of looking through the sections that he wrote about, or his, his ideas behind that, and he talks about challenge, and I think this is a big concept of this game because, yeah, there may not be like a giant narrative in this game, or, you know, a ton of struggle, but I think that challenge is a big part because each level gets kind of harder increasingly as you go, whether it's the ghosts moving faster, or they take less time to blink blue, or they come out of the cage in the middle faster. There's also a challenge to every level, so I think that's important, and he kind of talks about in his reading that you know you need to identify what it is that a player is going to find challenging about your game while you're making it, because I feel like if there's not some sort of challenge, then what's going to stick? So I really think the aspect of challenge is a big part in this game, just because there's so many levels and there's so many different opportunities to, achieve a win in the end.